Turning to politics, Sarah Palin has actually set a date to announce if she will run for the White House. We're also hearing a little bit more from Michelle Bachmann. She, of course, is running and gaining momentum, some say posing a growing threat to current runner Mitt Romney. CBS News political correspondent Jan Crawford joins us from Washington this morning. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning, Erica. Yeah, Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann has gotten some mixed reviews this week, though. In Washington, her stand on the debt ceiling has been criticized for kind of helping block a possible deal. But outside of Washington, voters are liking what they see.
President Obama is holding the full faith and credit of the United States hostage so that he can continue his spending spree.
Hi, everybody! Challenging the president on the debt ceiling debate, Michelle Bachmann is the candidate on the rise. Recent polls show she's leading Mitt Romney in Iowa. The latest, released Wednesday, of likely Iowa caucus goers has her with a 13-point edge, 29% to Romney's 16%. And she's resonating with voters across the country, moving up 8 points and ahead of Sarah Palin in the latest poll of Republican voters nationwide, and into second place behind Romney. That's more than double what she was polling last month before her strong performance in the New Hampshire debate. But her new prominence also is bringing tough scrutiny. Critics have challenged many of her assertions.
We must make a bold choice.
And this week, she was hit with criticism that she's anti-gay and that therapists at her husband's counseling practice have tried to help make gay clients go straight. Her husband denies those reports, and Bachmann is keeping her focus on key political issues like spending cuts. For months, Bachmann has made clear where she stands on raising the debt ceiling, even highlighting it in her first campaign ad.
I will not vote to increase the debt ceiling.
Bachmann insists there's no need to raise the debt ceiling and says President Obama is exaggerating the risk of a default.
We cannot go on scaring the American people. We need to be truthful. And I call on the President and the Treasury Secretary to tell the truth to the American people.
Sarah Palin has been watching all this from the sidelines, but last night she told Fox's Sean Hannity she'll make a decision on running by August.
So I'm still thinking about being one who would offer myself up in the name of service, knowing confidently that I have those common sense, fiscally conservative, pro-private sector policy experience and ideas that can be put to good work for this country.
Now, if Palin were to get in, that obviously could really slow down Bachmann's rise. If Palin gets in, though, Erica, that could change everything. I'm not talking about, moving some pieces around on the chessboard. That would turn the chessboard completely upside down. We'll know soon enough, though. Erica?
Yes, we will. Jen, we're bringing in now CBS News political analyst John Dickerson. John, good to have you with us this morning. Just real quickly, when it comes to Sarah Palin, she said, she's going to say something soon, probably August. But in all honesty, do you think she's made up her mind at this point?
Well, it's so hard to know with Sarah Palin. We have these periodic moments where she disappears for a little while and then she comes back on the scene. But she's on the cover of Newsweek magazine. She's hinting and flirting and teasing with this. It certainly looks like she's doing everything to reassert herself in this moment when Michelle Bachmann is on the rise. And she's reasserted herself in the debt limit negotiations. So she's doing everything that looks like somebody who's going to announce one day.
While we wait for her announcement, Michelle Bachmann is, of course, in this race. And as Jan pointed out, she's really trying to focus more on fiscal issues at this point. But there have been a few bumps in the road, especially when it comes to social issues. Still, she's seeing a rise, specifically in Iowa. What is it that is giving her this momentum, John?
We always knew there would be sort of two primaries in the Republican primary. One for the establishment, Mitt Romney is at the head of that primary, and then there would be an anti-Romney candidate, somebody else who represents the kind of core conservatives, the movement conservatives, and that's the group that Michelle Bachmann is the head of and speaks for. And so she is rising up in that group. They like what she's saying. It's interesting, they used to say you can't run as a politician from Washington, but she's using that as her strength. She's saying, I'm in Washington fighting the establishment, and that's working well for her.
Jan, Rick Perry, we're told, could decide by Labor Day whether or not he's going to jump in. What is he waiting on at this point?
He was waiting on the end of the legislative session. He's now had some minor back surgery, and I think he's also going to kind of see how things play out the rest of this month going into that straw poll in Iowa in the middle of August. But my sources say that he is going to get in this race. Obviously, that will have a huge impact on Bachmann and some other people who, as John says, are trying to be that alternative to Mitt Romney. So he would really shake things up if he gets in. It'll be interesting to see what voters say about all these candidates, though. When I was out in Iowa, and here's something I think that's so remarkable about Michelle Bachmann, and I'm not sure that Rick Perry can pull this off. Over and over and over, people said to me, she's so genuine, she's so real. You know, there's something about her that comes across as this authentic, real person, and voters really feel like they can relate to that. And she speaks for them.
So, John, how would that translate, though, on a national level?
Well, this is the challenge for Michelle Bachmann, is that authenticity in Iowa, which is a key state for her, she was born there, that translates very well for her, and that's her constituency. But in other states, she needs to find a way to not only be authentic and support a specific kind of portion of the party, but show she can play on the national level. Is she a contender? How would she look against Barack Obama? How do people see her in the Oval Office? So at the moment, she's a force. The big question for her is whether she's really a contender.
And there is so much more, as Jen mentioned, with Rick Perry, perhaps jumping in could also shake things up. Anybody else that either one of you have heard of who may be jumping in besides Palin and Perry at this point? Jen, I'll go to you
Erica,
first.
people are, I mean, everyone's been throwing out names for months, obviously, because people think this field is rather weak. But I think now as we're seeing Bachmann pick up some steam, these hints that Perry's going to get in, the field is looking pretty settled. But you still hear things like, oh, maybe New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's going to get in, even though he has said about 1,000 times that he's not. But I think that the field that is looking pretty set. John, what do you think?
Yeah, there's nobody else who's out there. And even these Perry or Palin, the challenge for them is getting in late is not easy. This is a difficult thing to run for president, and it's a long, hard slog. And so these super candidates who might sweep in out of the wings, it ain't going to be so easy for them.
All right, we'll continue to follow it. John Dickerson, Jan Crawford, thank you both.